Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori. So today's video, we are going to talk about the home buying process. So our 3-year anniversary will be in April of 2018. I always receive a lot of questions from you guys on how the home buying process was for us and any tips or tricks that I have, or just any advice that I have during the process. So I handled the whole home buying process from start to finish. So if you guys are looking to buy a home, that's so exciting. Congratulations. If you guys have been thinking about it or are scared to, or whatever the case is, no matter where you are in the process, welcome to my video. I'm glad you're watching, and I hope I can give you some advice that can help you or put your nerves at ease, or just kind of get you ready for what's about to come. Because I will say, buying a house was probably the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm not trying to scare you, because it's completely worth it, I'm telling you. But I just wanted to give you some advice that I went through, and hopefully it can help you guys. It's gonna be a long video because I have a whole list, like 5 pages of advice and tips that I have. So let's get started with this video. Here in Austin, guys, the rent is ridiculous. Like, we were paying, I want to say $1,100 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, that is crazy. And when we got our renewal, they were gonna up our rent from $1,100 to I think $1,400 for the 1-bedroom. And then we were looking at 2-bedroom apartments, and it was like $1,700 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So we were like, let's just buy a house. I don't know how it is where you guys live, but in Austin, the prices are skyrocketing right now. So we chose to buy a house. This house that we bought was actually our second home that we purchased. The first house, I made a video on that a couple years back because it was just so annoying. That was the worst home buying process ever. The company was just shady. We didn't do enough research, and all these tips that I have here are going to help you guys. So listen to my tips. I didn't know these things that I know now, because we got screwed over by we lost like $4,000 the first house we bought. So trust me, these tips are very helpful. So the first thing that is the most important thing of anything in life is your credit. Your credit plays a huge vital role in the home buying process. I cannot tell you this enough. When you become an adult, your credit score is just as important as your social security number, straight up. Because I did not realize that. When Daryl and I both were in college, we had to pay our way through ourselves. So credit cards were used, mistakes were made. So when you buy a house, your credit score will determine what your interest rate is, and how much down payment you need, and the interest of the loan. Interest on your house is crazy enough, but if you have bad credit and buy a house, it's gonna be even worse. So your credit score is so important to buy, especially with bigger purchases, because when you open a credit card, let's say you spend $500 on your credit card, the interest is, I don't know, let's see, 17 to 23%, right? The interest sucks on that, but that's nothing compared to a mortgage of $250,000. Imagine the interest on that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so speaking of credits, this video is actually sponsored by Credit Sesame. You guys, I have been using Credit Sesame for years, and this is the perfect way to find out where you stand credit-wise. They actually offer a credit report card so you guys can see everything that's on your credit, because that's important, guys, because I was a victim of identity theft. I received a letter from the IRS saying I owed them like $5,000 or something, because somebody was using my identity to work at Tyson's Chicken. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, how the heck did they get that? I was like 18, 19 years old. I had no idea what was going on. Went to file a police report and everything. It was so crazy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the IRS is gonna arrest me. Like, I had to let them know, like, I was in high school. Like, this is not, I am not working at Tyson's Chicken. I'm about to go to college. I need my credit to be good so I can get student loans. Like, I was freaking out. That's why you gotta stay on top of your credit, because you never know what can happen. And with Credit Sesame, when you sign up, they actually offer $50,000 in ID protection, which is freaking amazing, because you guys, I cannot say it enough to protect your credit. So just by signing up, you get the ID protection with Credit Sesame, so that's amazing. I definitely would recommend that, because you just never know, guys. I cannot say that enough. And another cool thing that Credit Sesame offers is financial tips, which is so important, because you have to be more responsible with your money when you get older, especially. You don't want to just be blowing stuff. Like, I know in college, I wish I was way more responsible with my money. I wasn't like just throwing all this money all around, but I really wish I would have been better with it. So they offer all types of tools and financial tips on there, which is amazing. Another cool thing about Credit Sesame is that you don't need a credit card to sign up. It's absolutely free. So you don't have to worry about putting your credit card in and being like, oh, I don't know, I feel weird about that. There's no credit card required, which is awesome. So I want to thank Credit Sesame once again for sponsoring this video. I will link Credit Sesame down below, and make sure you guys go check them out. So the next tip I have is to save. Save as much money as you can. I cannot say this enough. There are so many fees that come with purchasing a house. With saving money, you don't have to do drastic changes of like just like stop going out to eat altogether and just like really intense stuff, you can do that if you want to. But like with Daryl and I, what we started doing is we started doing less of what we normally did. So like if we went to the movies, normally when you go to the movies at night, that stuff ends up being like $50 or something with the snacks and everything. It's crazy. So what we started doing was going to matinee movies. We love going to matinee movies. So we started doing that because it's way cheaper. Because I want to say a night ticket costs like $13.50 and the matinee is like $5 or something like that. It's way cheaper. When you go to Starbucks, instead of getting the biggest drink, get a smaller one. You don't have to completely cut everything out if you don't want to, but just start doing little stuff like that. But of course, it depends on how much money you need to save, the time frame you need to save it in. You have to do what you have to do. If you have to cut everything out cold turkey, then you gotta do it. But that's just little stuff that Daryl and I did when we were saving money. I'm gonna read this because I typed it out and it's a long sentence, but it's very important. If your loan officer tells you it's going to be a $25,000 down payment, don't just save $25,000, guys. That's never the case. I'm telling you, there's always gonna be more. It never works out that way. Save as much money as you can. There will be other costs like closing costs, inspections, appraisals, money for escrow, home insurance, and so much more. Our loan officer actually helped us out because we were first-time home buyers, and she saw how like stressed out I was and how I was just like, oh my gosh. I asked so many questions, like it was crazy. Along with those fees, if you live in an apartment, if you're breaking a lease for your apartment, you have to think about the lease buyout. So with me, I was so worried about all the down payment for the house of what that was gonna entail that I completely forgot that we were breaking our lease to move. And even though I have property management experience and I know these things, I completely forgot because I was so worried about the house and how much money the house was gonna be that I forgot to think about the lease buyout. So with your apartments, if you live in an apartment when you buy a house and you break the lease, you are still responsible for the whole term that you signed that contract for. So if you have 6 months left on that lease, you still have to pay for 6 months. And I was freaking out. I completely forgot about that. But luckily, Daryl and I were really cool with our apartment staff. So I went down there, I explained the situation, and I told them like, hey guys, y'all need to hook it up. I know how this works. I was in the apartment business for a long time. You guys know how it works. If you guys like a person and they're moving out, you want to bump their apartment up to the next apartment available. You start trying to rent that one out. And they're like, we got you. So they actually did that. We just paid the lease buyout. We paid half of a month of the next month, and the new tenant was moving in mid-month, so we only paid for that half month. Also, when you break a lease, if you gave a deposit, you forfeit that deposit, so we lost that money as well. There's so many things that you don't think about when you're buying a house, but that's one thing that you guys need to think about, and you need to make sure that you give 30 days. The reason why we also paid more for our move out was because I didn't give my 30 days until my loan officer said I was approved. Because wouldn't that suck if you give your 30 days to your apartment, the house that you thought you bought ends up like not working out and you're homeless? Like, no way. I waited until she said, okay, you're final, you're good to go. And then I told my apartment. I'd rather have paid more to the apartment just to make sure that we got the house than like give my 30 days and not even know for sure. So that's my advice to you guys on that. All right, so you've checked your credit score is good. You're starting to save money because you don't want to buy a house. The next thing you want to do is you want to pre-qualify. There's no point in looking for houses before you're even pre-qualified. That's completely pointless unless you just like looking at model homes like we do. We do that all the time. But if you want to purchase a house, make sure you're pre-qualified. When you pre-qualify, and if it says you can afford a $500,000 house, that doesn't mean you have to go buy a $500,000 house. You definitely don't have to purchase the full amount they give you. You might overextend yourself. You need to calculate your bills thoroughly and make sure that you can afford that house. Then when the time comes, you're just like, how is this mortgage so much money? We can't afford this. That would just be so silly. So make sure you do not overextend yourself. The next tip I have for you is to research everything. Research home builders, research real estate agents if you're going that route, research the area you want to live in. Daryl and I have probably gone to every single home builder in the Austin area. I kid you not. We've gone to so many different home builders, so many different subdivisions. We did a lot of research. We will go there at nighttime. We will go there during the day. We just want to see every single aspect of that neighborhood, and we want to make sure that we felt comfortable and safe in it. So I definitely recommend doing that. If you like different areas, going over there, go have like a nice lunch in that area. We would go to dinner, and then we would drive to the area that we wanted to live in the little neighborhood subdivision. And we just wanted to see how quiet it was, if it felt safe, if we saw anything like suspicious. And that's so important because you want to make sure you feel safe wherever you live. Okay, so I'm going to read this out as well. So you won't get every single thing you want most of the time. It's not gonna work. You're not gonna get every single thing. With this house, I didn't get every single thing I wanted, but we've definitely made this house turn more into our home with the DIYs that we've done, and we're not even nowhere near done finishing DIYs, but I definitely saw the bigger picture and saw little things that I did like, and I said, all right, this will work. I also wrote, make a list of the needs in order of the importance. For example, you want to be close to schools, a nice area, a big kitchen, close to shopping. So this house was a spec home, but the reason that won me over with this house was the area. I knew this area was the best area to be in, and that made me overlook the things that I didn't like about this house. To me, that was more important, was making sure I felt safe in the area. I never thought we would be able to afford this neighborhood, so when we were, I was just like, what? I was just like, okay, I need to overlook the stuff that I don't like. And the reason why I did like this house as well is because of the floor plan. The floor plan to me is more important than anything else because you can make stuff work around you. You can do DIYs, you can do stuff to fix the house up. Also, I knew this house would have crazy equity, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to go for this house. And we did not make a mistake in that, so thank God that we got in this neighborhood when we did. So that was important to me, was the floor plan, and I wanted a nice foyer. This actually has a pretty nice foyer. It's not like super grand. For our first house, it's good enough, but the area was what won me over, and the neighborhood and the equity. I felt like it was a pretty smart choice for us being first-time homeowners, that our first house would be a really nice area with some equity because we can use that money to buy our next house. So that's a pretty smart thing to do. And that's also another thing. We could have gotten a bigger house with probably a nicer floor plan, nicer finishes in a different area that wouldn't have been as nice, or gotten a smaller house and the finishes weren't as nice as the other house but in a nicer area. I always wanted to go with a smaller house in a nicer area than a bigger house in a kind of area. That's just my opinion. You guys can do what you want, of course. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I just thought this was the best decision for us. When it comes to nice areas, I will say this. When you get a loan out, you get the fixed rate. Always get the fixed rate. Don't get a balloon or anything like that. Get a fixed rate. But when you live in a nice area, taxes will be a beep. Taxes will be a yes, because they will rise and rise and rise, because when it's a nice area, there's nicer stuff going on around you and your taxes will rise. So that means your mortgage payment will rise. That's the only negative I'd say about living in an area that's really nice, because your taxes do go up, but your equity goes up as well, which is kind of like bittersweet. It's kind of a give and take, because if you're willing to pay monthly more for the time being and you can get a bigger equity cash out, I don't know, it just depends on where you are. If you can afford to pay more monthly, your equity is going to be crazy, because our equity on this house has been pretty amazing already, and we've only been here for almost 3 years. Okay, so your credit score is good, you're saving money, you're pre-qualified, you've done your research, and you found the house of your dreams. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to need to put earnest money down. So it could be between $500 and $3,000. I've also even seen some places where it's 1% of your purchase price. It all depends on where you live. It all depends on what home builder you go with or which house you purchase. So we paid $2,000 in earnest money for this house. It all depends on your market, because when we were looking at houses in San Antonio a couple years back, it was like a $500 earnest money check. So it was like, what? So it all depends. So that's just what we paid. But just make sure you guys check that out where you buy a house. So one of the things that I will tell you was so important, that I feel would have made the process so much easier if you had it already ready, is all the paperwork you're going to need when you buy the house. You need to have that paperwork ready. If you don't know where anything's at, you're gonna freak out. I know with me, I did not know what to expect. I had no idea that all this paperwork was going to be needed. So it freaked me out, but I made a list for you guys so you guys can be ready. So you're going to need your social security cards, your driver's license, W-2 forms for the past 2 years, pay stubs the last month or 2 months. They may also ask you for your marriage license. They may also ask you for your offer letter of your job, because they want to make sure that you've worked there for 2 years. So to purchase a house, it's a 2-year minimum of your job. But if you did work somewhere else in the same industry, that could work also. You just can't go from being a landscaper to a social media manager type thing. They won't accept that. But if you went from sales to sales, you'll be completely fine. But they will ask you for your offer letter, bank statements the last 2 months, and that's checking and savings. If you're using your 401, okay, if you guys got that joke, we're best friends. If you're using your 401k, you're going to need to get a paper trail for that. if somebody's going to be gifting you money, so if your parents decided to help you out with your down payment, or uncles, or whoever the case is, you're going to need a gift letter. So a gift letter is going to basically just be a signature of you and the person that's offering you that money, and you guys are just going to sign it saying, this person's giving me this money for my down payment, or blah blah blah. Just more of a paper trail type thing. Paper trails are very important when purchasing a house, I will tell you that. Don't be late on your bills. If you guys can afford to auto pay all your bills, do it. I cannot tell you how important it is. I have a couple of bills that aren't auto pay because they didn't offer it for some reason. And one time, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I remember this so vividly. I was freaking out because I was a day late because I completely forgot to pay it on the date that it was due. It was my mom and my dad and Daryl and I. We were driving somewhere and it just hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to pay something. I was just like my house was already like flashing before my eyes. I was just like, there goes the house. It's done. We're not gonna get a house anymore. I was freaking out. I called the company and I was like, you're not gonna report me to the credit bureau, are you? You're not gonna report me to the credit agency. They're like, okay, calm down. You're only 1 day late. We don't start reporting until it's 30 days late. And I was like, oh, I was freaking out. So make sure you guys are not late, because I've heard horror stories of people being late one time and the house was no longer theirs. So you guys need to be careful with that for sure. All right, the next thing I have is do not open credit cards or use the ones you have. Don't do it, guys. I know it could be tempting to be like, oh, I want to buy the furniture and I want to buy the washer and dryer and I want to buy this and I want to buy that. Don't do it, because I'm telling you, I saw this firsthand. I saw a family who bought like their furniture, their washer dryer, everything. And then they were told that they couldn't buy the house anymore. And they had all this crap with no house to put it in. And they were heartbroken. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that was so crazy. If you're opening credit cards or using your credit cards, that's affecting your credit. If you're borderline of just barely getting approved, that's gonna mess it up. Your debt to income ratio is huge also when it comes to purchasing a house, because they need to know that you can afford to pay your mortgage. So buying stuff and using your credit cards and all stuff is just gonna mess everything up. So don't use any of it. Don't buy anything when it comes to your credit. Honestly, guys, they like search your soul for this house. Seriously, like they're looking at your bank statements. They're looking at they're seeing everything you're purchasing. I felt a little judged because I was like, is she gonna judge us for going out to eat too much? Or is she gonna judge us for shopping so much? They want the detailed bank statement, not just like this is the amount you have. They want the detailed bank statement. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is a little embarrassing. So be ready for that. So another piece of advice I have is do not pay off or touch your credit at all. When it comes to your credit and purchasing a home, no matter how good your credit is, you need to talk to your mortgage lender, you need to talk to your loan officer about what to do. If your credit score isn't that good, then they'll tell you like, pay this off, pay that off, don't do this, don't do that. You need to listen to them. Don't think that, okay, well, I'll pay this off and I'll pay this off. Let me just do it myself without asking. That's not going to help. For example, department store cards are not as important as a Capital One card, as a bank card. So if you're paying down a Kohl's card, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter compared to paying down a Capital One card or a Bank of America card. So these are things that you need to ask your loan officer before you do them, because they will mess you up. Okay, so another thing I learned during this mortgage process was piggybacking is not good. I thought it was so good for so many years. So what piggybacking is basically you being added as an authorized user to another person's credit card. This is good if it's done the proper way, but most of the time it's not, and it's really bad. If you put yourself as an authorized user to someone else's card and they start using that card like crazy, and their credit limit is $2,000 and they go up to like $1,700 and they almost max that card out, you're being affected negatively, because you never know if that person you're piggybacking off of is going to be responsible with their cards or not. So my loan officer told me, don't do that. You never know what can happen. A loan officer did take us off as authorized users, but what you need is a paper trail. When we got taken off as authorized users, I needed to call the company and tell them to send me a letter stating that I am no longer an authorized user, because paper trails are so important during this process, just to make sure that everything is legit, and you need that paper trail to show I'm not an authorized user anymore. There's gonna be a lot of tasks to do with this, and you're gonna have to say yes to everything. If you don't want to do it, you have no choice, because you're gonna have to call and do stuff that you may not want to do, but it's so important for you to get approved for the house. So You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Also, another thing is don't ever close any of your accounts while doing this process. That does not help at all. It actually lowers your credit score. So another thing that you can't do is you can't move money without a paper trail. You can't really move money without asking, honestly. So if you give your parents money or your grandma or whoever money monthly, and you always do it every month, let's say you give them 500 bucks a month, you're going to have to ask your loan officer, can I do this? Will it affect anything? Because they do look at every single thing you do. Most of the time they will say yes, but you have to have a paper trail. So you're going to have to transfer the money and then print out the sheet of the transfer just to show that it's legit. Or if you have any money coming in, they're going to question you about that. They're going to ask you, what is that money? Is that part of the down payment or what is it? You're gonna feel like you're being like interrogated for everything. You have to understand this is part of the process and that's just how it works. Okay, so that's all for this video. If you guys have made it through, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys got some good tips and advice on this process. It was very stressful, I will say that, and I feel like I was losing my mind a couple of times during that. And even though it was a lot to deal with, it was completely worth it when those keys hit your hand and you walked into your house for the first time and you were like, whoa, like I own this house. It was amazing. So if you guys are going to start this journey to purchase a house, I am so excited for you. You guys are going to have an amazing time picking out furniture, go on Pinterest and get inspiration, go to your neighborhood and just like enjoy the area. And all little things like that are definitely going to outweigh any stress or any craziness that you might endure during that time, I promise you guys. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe down below and also click the notification bell so you guys get notified when I upload a video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at my Lovely Texas Home. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys have any other tips or tricks that you want to leave down below, write them down below so everybody can see, because we're all about helping out here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.